dear audience. I welcome you in this session, which is particularly aiming to discuss directed writing, which has always been something difficult for students, particularly in this new syllabus. Students are at how to do directed writing. So, discussing all directed writing or discussing the whole of the question of speech won't be possible. So, I will be discussing some very important aspects of speech. And in my next video from this book, I will be making a detailed video on speech writing, where with the help of a question from this book, I will show you a sample speech written with all the requirements. Now, in this particular video, actually, I'm going to talk about the persuasive techniques. Now, what are persuasive techniques? They must be focused on. You know that directed writing, which we are doing in our writing paper, in our first question. So, in directed writing, most of the time, the writings are persuasive writing. Persuasive writing means that we have to actually convince our audience on the point we are favoring. We know that we are provided with two texts, and those two texts have contradictory ideas. And after reading those texts, the text which we favor, we have to convince our audience on it. So how to convince it? For convincing, some persuasive techniques are used. For convincing, arguments and counter arguments are made. Examples are given. So that I will discuss in detail in my upcoming video, but in this video I will be discussing some very important persuasive techniques, and in no time you are going to learn them. Let's see that for the persuasive techniques you can learn this acronym, a ripe forest. Okay, and then you can keep all these persuasive techniques in mind. Most of the persuasive techniques can be easily bring in your writing. Let's see that what are they. The first is alliteration from A. Alliteration is actually the repetition of first letter for an effect. Then comes the actual repetition. Now here we are actually repeating either a line, some phrase. You remember the famous speech, I have a dream. So this particular throughout the speech, I have a dream, and it creates such a marvelous effect in the speech. So similarly, this repetition can be the part of our speech, and we can have a very good persuasive impact on our readers. Then comes the use of imperative. Now, imperatives are the sentences which directly start with a verb, like do this on my request. There is no subject, and the sentence is directly starting with a verb. So imperative are again very important for persuading your audience. Then the use of personal pronoun we. You know that this pronoun we shows collectiveness. When you say that we have planned this, we will do it, or we are together, then what happens that you show that you and your audience are moving in the same direction. They are on the same platform. And other thing is that such techniques in the written form also show that you are actually writing in a correct conversational tone. Then comes the use of emotive language, where you are actually appealing to your readers through your language, and you are using such sentences where you are actually particularly aiming at the emotions of your audience. The use of facts and opinion, they are quite evident when you are bringing facts and you say that certain percent of people are jobless, then suddenly there is an authority in your writing. So if you know certain facts, they should be the part of it. And if you don't know them, please don't bring wrong facts in your writing. Then your personal opinions, they also play a very important role in persuasion. Then the use of rhetorical question, a very important technique which is used in so many types of directed writing. In rhetorical question, we ask a question for an effect. Do you agree? Isn't it a good idea to go outside? See that such short questions are very important because they at once grab your audience attention towards you, and they are at once attentive. So they are a very elemental part of persuasive writing. Then exaggeration, if you exaggerate on your point that it has been said millions of times, it has been done thousands of times, or since ages we have been doing. Now, in all these examples, you are actually exaggerating on your point, and you know that exaggeration is always appealing. Exaggeration is always, convincing. So exaggeration can be easily brought in your speech writing. Then the use of statistics, again, very helpful. Then triplet is when we are using three words in a row. They can be noun, they can be adjectives. So definitely they will show your reader and examiner that you have learned these persuasive techniques and you are really expert in using them in your writing. So another important feature of speech writing is an anecdote. Now, what is an anecdote? Anecdote is actually a short account which related to your particular speech topic. And when you start telling a story, you must have seen the speakers that they at once, when they say that the audience is bit out and they are not listening, so they at once start telling a story and the audience are attentive. Everybody loves listening to stories. So when you say that I vividly remember, I must tell you when I was a child, and this is an event when my father was in his college. So what happens that at once people become attentive and they tend to learn. And writing an anecdote, definitely, because we have to write a speech, shows that a student is well aware of the features of speech writing. Then imperative I have discussed before. Rhetorical question has also been discussed, and the collective noun and the repetition. So you see that such type of repetition is always very effective. So let's look at one sample speech with maximum of the features. Now this side you can see that is the key of the colors, and like anecdote has this certain color, imperatives are in red, and here you can see the example. So let's read this speech together and let's see that how writer has very effectively written this speech, and this speech really shows that it is actually having a chatty style. It's in conversational style. It does not look like drab, boring as an essay. So if you want that your speech should look like a speech, you should have all these features in your writing. Otherwise, your speech will not be a speech at all. It will be like an essay, and definitely for not putting all the required elements in your speech, you may not be marked. Imagine this. So imagine this is an imperative. I've told you that they start with a verb. It's late at night and you are struggling to keep your eyes open while staring at a mountain of homework. Sound familiar? So an anecdote is given. We've all been there, drowning in assignments and reading. But let me ask you this. Is homework truly enhancing our learning experience? Or is it simply adding unnecessary stress to our lives? A very effective rhetoric question is asked. There has been another rhetoric question before this, which I did not discuss. Sound familiar? So see that rhetoric questions are really very effective thing. It's time to rethink the role of homework in our education system. We, collective pronoun, as student, deserve better. We deserve to spend our time engaging in meaningful learning experiences, not just completing mindless tasks. So look at the style that the writer is, that very effective in writing the sentences, variety of sentences. And not only writer is writing with the variety of sentences, he's trying to bring all the required and discussed elements in his speech. This is what we have to do, that when we are writing a speech, we have to be mindful that we have to bring all these elements in our writing if we have to be an effective writer. So let's demand change. Let's demand. This is repetition, and you see that it's really effective. A homework system that prioritizes quality over quantity. Let's demand a system that respects our time and well-being. See, the repetition of let's demand is very effective. It's time to reimagine homework for the betterment of our education and our future. So you see that it's only the beginning of a speech. It's only a section of the speech, but you can see that writer, because he knows writing, so he has implemented all the required elements of speech in this particular short sample of speech. So why can't you bring all these things in your writing? Students say that we have written 2 pages, we have written 3 pages, and we don't get marks in exam. This is the reason that examiner look for all these elements of speech in their speech. But when your speech does not contain any such element, then definitely examiner will not give you the marks. So a speech will not be a speech, then it's going to be an essay. I hope that after this you are going to practice writing speech by bringing all these elements in your writing. Good luck for your exam. Stay blessed. Allah Hafiz.